Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about psychosis. More specifically, psychotic depression. What is it and how do we treat it? First, I want to start by defining what depression and psychosis are. I have full videos on both of those topics. If you want more, I'll link in the description. You can check that out. But for the sake of this video, I want to keep these definitions short and sweet. In order to be diagnosed with major depressive disorder, the symptoms must persist for 2 weeks, and you have to have 5 or more symptoms, but there are 2 symptoms I want to address right now that must be present. And I'm reading from my DSM. As always, the DSM is not the end-all be-all, but it's just a way for us to better understand a diagnosis. And the first symptom that you have to have is that you must have depressed mood for most of the day, nearly every day, for at least 2 weeks, just like I said. The second is you have markedly diminished interest or pleasure in activities that you used to like. What I've called that before is anhedonia, meaning all the things I used to love doing, I just don't like anymore. Now, obviously, there are many more symptoms to depression. Like I said, you have to have 5 or more, and those are just 2. But I'll link my full video about major depressive disorder, like I said, in the description if you want more information. But let's move on to psychosis. Now, psychosis isn't something that we can be diagnosed with directly. Psychosis is something that happens due to another mental illness. For example, we can have psychotic features with our bipolar disorder or our schizophrenia, or like we're talking about today, our major depressive disorder, but we can't be diagnosed just with psychosis. Does that make sense? Because I know that can be kind of confusing. But for the sake of today's video, I want to talk about the 5 different types of psychosis. The first being delusions, which are firmly held beliefs. If you don't remember or you want more, like I said, I have a full video all about psychosis. I'll link in the description, you can check that out. The second is hallucinations, and that's when we see or hear something that isn't there to anybody but us. And the third type of psychosis is disorganized thinking. And what that really means is just like it sounds. Our thoughts are disorganized, therefore we can't tell a real story, like it won't have like a cohesive storyline. We'll struggle to make full sentences and to connect them to others, and so therefore it can be hard for people to understand us. And the fourth is grossly disorganized or abnormal motor behavior, meaning just the way that we go about our day and move in our space is a little bit odd and different. And the fifth and final type of psychosis are negative symptoms. We talk a lot about positive symptoms, and the difference why we call one positive and one negative is positive is when we add something to our environment or our experience, meaning hallucinations or delusions, right? We're seeing, hearing things that aren't there. We're adding something. Negative is when we take it away. For example, if I have blunted affect, which is one of the most common negative symptoms of psychosis, and that could mean that when I normally want to express upset or excitement or anything, I'm not able to. I'm blunted. It's taken something away, and that would be an example of a negative symptom. The reason that I wanted to define major depressive disorder and psychosis first is because I think it's important that we understand them on their own before we try to talk about how they can look together. I know we talk a lot about schizophrenia and how that can look, but the way that psychotic depression differs from other psychotic disorders is that the delusions or hallucinations tend to be more focused on depression symptoms, meaning I may have delusions or hallucinations about feeling worthless or hopeless, and things that may tie back in to my depression. Schizophrenia, on the other hand, their delusions and hallucinations tend to be a little bit more bizarre or nonsensical, meaning I've had clients who feel like Jesus is talking to them through their TV or even through their refrigerator, or that demons are getting into their home through their electricity. The main thing I want you to hear during this video is that psychosis can be a part of a lot of different mental illnesses. And no, it doesn't mean you're crazy. What it means is that your brain is being flooded with a lot of excess dopamine, which is what gives us a lot of the positive symptoms. The delusions and the hallucinations come out of that. And yes, they can be focused on different things, like with depression, it'll be more depression-based thoughts, but it can still be there, and paranoia is very common. The good news is if we are struggling with any kind of psychosis, treatment is available, and it can get better. The sooner we treat it, they find the quicker it goes away and the less likely it is to come up again. When it comes to psychotic depression, the best treatment is medication in a hospital. And the only reason that they say this is because when we have depression, we already can feel really bad, really hopeless, at the end of our rope. And if we start to feel psychotic and worry that other people may be doing something to harm us, they find suicide rates go up. And so we want you to be safe. And they encourage anybody, if you start feeling any of these symptoms, talk to your mental health care provider, whether it's your therapist, psychiatrist, regular doctor, loved one, anyone, and let them get you to a hospital so you can get treated sooner rather than later. Also, as a side note, This can be a precursor for bipolar disorder, and so it's something that a lot of doctors will want to watch and assess with you and maybe take you back to your childhood and teen years to notice if it actually is psychotic depression or if this is a symptom of bipolar disorder. And that's why I think it's really important for us to get proper treatment. Taking yourself to the hospital can be the best and first step for you to start feeling better and more like yourself. And with proper treatment and proper medication, your symptoms can go away pretty quickly. They say for some people it's just a week, others it can be months. The only depending factor is how severe it is and how long you've been having this psychosis. And that's why it's so important that we get help sooner rather than later. And as another form of treatment, therapy's honestly not the best. Talk therapy can't always get us anywhere because if we're psychotic, we may not trust our therapist. We may think they're out to get us. We aren't really able to do a lot of the behavioral techniques that may come along with it. But what they do know helps is some Cbt techniques for those of us who have the negative symptoms. Remember when we maybe are struggling to get out of bed and we're feeling like we can't emote and we can't express ourselves, there are behavioral techniques that we can do to help get that back in line, get us up, get us out, get us showering so that we start to maybe feel just a little bit better. Overall, I hope that you hear in this video that it can and will get better. Having psychosis, even if it's brief, doesn't make you crazy. Don't worry, it's very, very common, especially in conjunction with things like major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder. There are a lot of different ways that we can struggle with psychosis, but the sooner you reach out, the better. Take yourself to the hospital if you are feeling that you're in danger to yourself. If you are depressed and thinking that you're hearing and seeing things that you never used to hear and see, talk to someone, reach out, tell someone, get the help that you deserve, because the sooner we treat it, the faster the symptoms will go away. My overall hope for this video is that you know that you can get better with proper treatment. So please reach out. There are professionals available who truly care. And I know in my experience, every client I've had who's ever experienced psychosis has felt terrified and has hated every minute of it. And so just know the sooner you reach out, the sooner you'll start feeling like yourself. If you're new to my channel, click here to subscribe. I put out videos twice a week and you don't want to miss them, so make sure you turn on those notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.